The average sales manager spends countless hours every month just sitting at their desk and listening in on their team's calls. It's almost like a part-time job. Maybe you're listening in, trying to provide coaching opportunities, looking to see what terms are coming up, and really trying to develop your teams. But what if I told you there was an easier way? I'm gonna show you how to actually coach and develop your teams using things like smart call analysis, conversation intelligence, and actually provide your teams the opportunity to not only grow, but skyrocket their sales and provide you with a chance to coach them as a manager. If you wanna follow along, it's easy. Just click the link below. I'm Alex, and this is How to HubSpot. Let's start by getting call analysis set up. So first, what I'm gonna do is click on settings over here, and then I'm gonna scroll over and click on calling, and finally call setup. This is where in HubSpot, you can set up and you can configure any of your calling options so your teams can actually call people directly through HubSpot. Let's go ahead and click on call configurations and just make sure all the boxes you see right here are checked. What this is gonna do is enable conversation intelligence, really giving HubSpot the ability to listen in and track those conversations. You can always customize this later, but let's go ahead and turn on some other calling settings. So I wanna show you where I think one of the most powerful features lives, and that's over here on the calling menu. And if we click transcription and analysis, and then click turn on transcription and analysis. There's a really key checkbox here, help improve your transcriptions. What this is gonna do is allow HubSpot to really learn your sales process. So as your teams are having those conversations, it's gonna get a bit smarter, get more adapt to your sales process, and really be able to give you that much better recommendations. The next thing I wanna talk about are tracked terms. If you see this little button here that says edit track terms, you can actually click on this plus add category button to create groups for different types of conversations. Here's how I usually like to set this up. The first is competitor mentions. So as a manager, I kind of want to know when some of those key competitors are coming up. And selfishly, there's this one I've been really going after, and I'm trying to see where they are mentioned. The next thing I want to look out for are key product features. I know that maybe we just had this giant product release. I need to make sure that my sales teams are actually pitching this and they're actually talking about it. The next thing are key sales process moments, especially pricing. As a manager, it's super important to make sure your teams can actually close the deal. And especially when the deal kind of gets to that stage, it's ultimately critical to have that insight. And finally, the thing that I think is one of the most critical things to capture is next steps. I mean, that's the job of every sales rep, but if I can add in some track terms to really kind of see when are we getting to those next steps, how are my reps closing the deal and creating that follow-up, it makes it easy for me to see and provide coaching for my reps. So let's make sure those are all set up here. And a quick pro tip that I like to do just as I'm getting these set up is really just start small. You don't want to track absolutely every word in here, but you do want to track those key things that move your business forward. You can always add more later. Once this is all set up, HubSpot's gonna be able to analyze all of your calls, and as a manager and a leader, you'll be able to quickly see when, where, and how key competitors, features, terms, and next steps are coming up, making you that much more powerful and giving you this radar into your sales team's performance, ultimately helping you provide even more relevant coaching. Now for the fun part. Let's actually use what we just set up to coach your team. I'll show you how. So the first thing you wanna do is head over to the CRM tab here and then hit calls. This is where you can see all of the calls that your sales team has made through HubSpot. Think of it almost like a library, and instead of books, you have all of your sales calls. If I wanna click into a call right here, I'll be able to show you 3 of my favorite coaching moves. The first one here is the instant feedback loop. So you see these 3 tabs, insights, stats, and transcripts? These are gonna be like your encyclopedia of the call that'll help you really break down not only what was covered, but how as well. First, on the Insights tab. Remember those track terms that we just set up? This is where you'll see per sales call, how often those are coming up. I can see here that there's one for our competitor was mentioned, and I can also see pricing was discussed. So as a manager, I can quickly get some insights without even having to listen to the call. If I hit the Stats tab right here, this is one of my favorite parts, and this is what's called automatic call analysis. Every time someone makes a call through HubSpot, it's gonna listen in not just for those track terms, but for a couple key things. The first thing it's gonna track is how much each person's talking. We don't want a sales call where I'm spending 95% of the time pitching the customer and they're sitting there, camera off, disinterested, and not engaging. The next one is longest customer monologue. And this is a bit unique, but think about it like this. You want to be listening for your customers' problems and making sure what you're selling them and what we're talking about is actually going to help them. So paying attention to this section right here and this little stat will help me see how much are my reps actually letting the customers talk for themselves. The other one I like to point out is pace. Now, I don't know about you, I'm someone who talks pretty fast. So I often find myself having to slow down on these sales calls. And this is a good way to kind of see how fast am I actually speaking and course correct for future ones. You can see all of these stats here. So it's really easy to see exactly how the call is going. Now, let's say in this call, this person absolutely crushed an objection. I mean, they did it by the book and it completely overcame. They won the deal. That's something I'm gonna wanna share with the rest of my team and ultimately show them how to do the same. So this is how you do that. If I click on a spot in the transcript here, I can add a comment. Even better, I can actually tag someone. So for this example, let's say, hey, Nick, check out how this rep handled this pricing objection. Noticed how she used our strategy. Now, every rep is going to be able to learn from the best moments of real sales calls, really helping you take your sales training to the next level. Another thing I want to show you is coaching playlists. So this is where the magic really happens, I think. If you click on Add to Playlist at the top and then hit Create Playlist right here, you can create different collections and playlists of some of your best sales calls. I like creating playlists for a couple of different areas. The first one, and where I would put this call, is the Objection Handling Hall of Fame. This is a playlist I am gonna send to all of my sales reps so they can see how their peers have handled some of the toughest objections and ultimately won the deal. Another one I like to set up is for killer product demos. So when I have a rep who absolutely crushes a product demo, I'm talking shows every feature, sticks to the value proposition, and tells a compelling story, I wanna capture that for my other reps to see. So I'll start to add those here. And then finally, and this is especially critical for newer reps, is I like to have a playlist all around pricing. When pricing's brought up, that means the deal's getting close to the close. And ultimately, this is one of the tougher parts of the sales cycle. So I like to capture where my reps have really handled pricing like a pro. So I'll come in here and I will make sure all of these are set up. And here's a pro tip, I think, just as I'm getting these set up, is that you can actually clip specific moments of the playbook. So right here, instead of adding this entire call, what I can do if I just drag this bar here is just add that perfect 30-second or 1-minute snip. It's almost like creating your own sales masterclass, led by and taught by your own sales reps. If I have a particularly great call and I maybe don't want to add this to the playlist or I want to share it with the whole team, I can click on this share button right here at the top. One thing I like to do here is maybe a call was just so good that I think the whole team should listen to it. It's also great for boosting morale because I can show and share some really great examples of how my teams crushed sales calls. One last trick. If you're like me, you're tight on time. And maybe you don't want to listen to this whole sales call or even look through the transcripts. If you click right here, you can actually listen to calls at 1.5 speed when you're reviewing them. Trust me, you will still catch everything, and depending on how fast that person talks, you might have to listen a little closely, but it's a good way to quickly listen through the calls. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have any time or I don't want to sit through a call recording? You're not the type of person that likes to watch those or listen to them. I get it. You only have a second. One final trick, if you come in here on the main call page and hit this little summarize button right here, Breeze is gonna generate a quick AI-powered summary of the call. So if you only have 20, 30 seconds on this call, you'll be able to quickly see exactly what it was about and get up to speed without having to listen in. Reminder, the goal isn't to micromanage. It's to help your teams consistently improve. Start by setting up some of those track terms, then provide them with some of those smart insights, and ultimately create those playlists to help provide coaching opportunities. Remember, you can follow along and skyrocket your sales with HubSpot. Just click the link in the description below to get started. I'm Alex, this is How to HubSpot, and I'll see you next time.